All right. So again, today we're going to talk about multi-event testing. What multi-event testing was originally designed for was the ability to be able to test at multiple locations across your infrastructure, whether that be offsite facilities, sites that you own. If you want to conduct online testing, you can do that sharing the same surveys or using different surveys, sharing the same design block or using a different design block across all of your sites. And then RedJade takes that data and puts it into one data file in the system. And that data file can have multiple languages across locations, and it's all stored and reported in whatever your default language is for that specific test. Okay, so I created this test here. We'll go ahead and take a look at it, and then we're going to add a third site to our location. Okay, so you can see here I've already set up 2 events, but I'm going to go ahead and walk through one of them. So I'm going to walk through the San Francisco site, and I'm going to show you where I'm getting this data also. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click edit, and you'll see on my San Francisco site, right, I've set this up for on-site assisted check-in. I've skipped using RedJade to recruit. You can use that as well. I've skipped that on this test just to eliminate one more variable so you can better see how this feature works, right? On the participant step, I have at least one participant uploaded since I am using assisted check-in here, right? And I can include on that upload, I can include demographics, I can include any information that I want. I've scheduled my test for today between the hours of 3:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Okay. And then I've created a questionnaire, and I've created that questionnaire in English, Spanish, and French. All right. And you'll see if I go into edit test instructions that these instructions are automatically available. The default instructions with RedJade, I should be very clear. Default instructions that come with RedJade have been professionally translated to 30 other languages, including French and Spanish. So if I click on Spanish, you'll see I have the same instructions here. If I click on French, again, same instructions, but in French. Okay. If you change any one of these languages, the settings in any one of these languages, so if you change it from welcome and instead you say welcome to this test, RedJade does not automatically change the text for you. I just want to be very clear on this point. You have to change the text yourself. Okay, the translators available today, Google Translate being probably the most famous one, are not good enough to build into our app to give you a sense of security that what we are including for you is readable and understandable by your end users. Now, I think for these test instructions, probably more so, but for the precise language of a survey, I absolutely would be sure to have them professionally translated. And I'll show you that in a second. I have also disabled multiple language selection, which means that my test is going to be controlled by my site's default language. Okay, so for example, on my Paris site, you'll see that I have French as the default event language for that site. That means that RedJade is going to deliver the test in French to my France location. Okay. The same thing is true of my Cabo site here. Might as well dream about going to Cabo. So here we can click there and you'll see my default event language is Spanish here. Okay. And you may have more locations, you may have fewer locations. You may need to use an off-site location, but the same basic rules apply here. All right, so let's take a look at our questionnaire. I'm going to click on Add Questions. Now you will notice that if you add questions from the RedJade library, they have already been professionally translated, and the languages have been around in the system for years now, meaning that our clients, in this case in France and in Spain or Mexico, have validated the translations here, right? You can still change them if you want to, but you'll see that these have already been translated to French, Spanish, and English, okay? And those are professional translations. If I were to, for example, add in text open-end questions and I say, how much do you like this product, right? What, if anything, did you like about this product? You'll see it's automatically, it has been professionally translated to both Spanish and French here, okay? And that's all automated, all right? So let's go ahead and save and close this. And you'll see the last step is, of course, design block. I've just made a very simple design here, and I've decided to have this same design across my locations, right? And you'll see I'm going to add one more location, and I'll show you how you could actually have a different design. So with that, I'm going to quickly go up to our dashboard, and I'm going to add a new event. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click this little add a new event button here. And now, see, you may have just heard my kids yelling. So here in the location, I'm going to click on site. I'm going to select my location, right? I only have one location left. And you'll see my default language for that event is automatically Spanish, right? Because it's being controlled by the language selection in my collection part of my application, all right? I'm going to use assisted check-in. I'm going to select next. On my participants, I'm going to say I have 100 participants. You'll see RedJade automatically hands out the next thousands of ID numbers, but you can also use anything you want between 1 and 9,999. And so if you're just having 10 or fewer groups, it's easy to just let RedJade have your ID numbers here, but that's how you do it. Let's go ahead and add a participant. So we'll go ahead, this will be Steve Calvo. All right, and we'll click submit here. Okay, and next we'll schedule our test. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly schedule our test for today. So we'll go ahead and choose our room. And we are in Cabo, which is not the same time zone. So we'll reserve our time zone here. I think it's +6, so it's just 1 hour. Okay, we'll click submit. Our questionnaire is already made, so we just get to skip to the next step. And our design block will say, hey, do you want to create a new design for this site, or do you want to use an existing design? Right, and I can pick which one I want to do. I'm just going to go ahead and use an existing one. You select it, and then you click submit. And now you'll see I have Cabo here as well as one of my participant groups tied to my same design. Okay. And I click submit. So I've already gone ahead and launched this test. The next step would be to launch this test. So now let's show you how we would take the test. All right, so let's go ahead. This is my San Francisco site, right? So on my San Francisco site, I'm going to go ahead and, sorry, I have to do one more step. I'm going to check the person in. So I'm going to go to collection.redjade.net. And I am here on my San Francisco site. So I'm going to check somebody in for this test. And I believe I already checked the person in. Here, we'll double check. So Steve, we'll check him in. Person 1001, you'll see his language is non-selectable because it's automatically English because he's in San Francisco. And we click submit. And then in the survey, you'll see I put in 1001 and I click begin. And this survey is going to be delivered the entire thing here in English. Okay. I didn't double check the initial screen, but we'll just go through here. And we submit our data. Okay. So there we have our data submitted. I also have people here in, let's check people in really quickly for my other sites. So let's go ahead and switch to Paris. And let's see. So I'll go ahead and check in somebody from my Paris site. It's weird. I need to make sure I say Parasite and not Parasite, which was a great movie, by the way. Chris, help me real quick. I can't get that to load. Oh, there. Here we go. Parasite. That should have loaded.
Make sure your time zone maybe might be a scheduling thing with time zones.
Oh yeah, it is. Yep.
Since you are not in Paris, unfortunately.
Yes, I know. Unfortunately, I'm stuck here in San Francisco. So anyway, you would check your people in. You know what I will show you here? I'll show you this. There we go. So we'll do check-in. I just set up Paris incorrectly on the time zone. I apologize. So I can check in the person for my Cabo site here, right? I'll check myself in and you'll see it's automatically 3001 in Spanish, right? And then you'll see here in Safari, we'll see if this is my French or my Cabo site here. So this is my Cabo site, right? It's automatically in Spanish. I'm going to enter my 3001 code and I'm going to start my survey. And you'll see that this is going to load in Spanish here. Okay, so I'll accept there and I'll go ahead and confirm the ID number here and I can go ahead and collect my data. Now, the last thing you'll see is I'm going to quickly go up to my project and I'm going to view the live results. And in the live results, you'll notice that you have a filter available for you by language. So if I click, sorry, not by language, you have a filter available for you to select your data by event. So you can automatically look at the data from each site by itself. So you can do that here. So you can say, I just want to look at my Cabo data. So I can click here and I can say that this is my Cabo data and click save. And now you'll see that my data goes from having 2 people to 1 person. Okay, so you can easily do that here. All right, and you'll see everything's reported in English because I set my default language as English. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop. Today's a quick one. Multiple event testing, of course, can get significantly more complicated. You can even do things like on your participant step, if you're using assisted check-in, you can even add participant groups within a city. So if you wanted to have a different participant group for males versus females or moms versus kids, you can do that through this participant groups button. So you can make this significantly more difficult. What I really wanted to point out here was the fact that you can test in multiple locations on the same test, including online. You can add online events here as well, right? So you could do an online email event and use the same surveys or have completely different surveys all in the same test. Your data is automatically grouped together and you can test in multiple languages and report in whatever language you want as long as it's included in the questionnaire. Okay. With that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording